Hello and welcome to part two of the reflection of Interlude 5 by Lauren Hill, where we laugh, fake laugh, on this upstream, smile stream, at the beginning of every part and show. Ha 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 ha. And it turns into a real laugh. So, Lauren said life is supposed to be a pleasurable experience, and like I said, well, one of the thoughts I had is like, what is supposed to? And that brings me to what is should. Life should be a pleasurable experience. Can't help but think there are some people who suffer their whole life. Then they die. So what's should? I don't really care, eh? Let me talk about. Okay, I'll tell you the meaning of your life. You, yeah, there's this talk about like, what is it? In a song Waltzing Matilda, they phrase it that way. What is it? Is it me and you? Is it mum and dad? Is it a kangaroo? What are they talking about? Like, I'm totally addicted to bass. What's your baseline? Because I'm an ace when I face the bass. It's like, what am I gonna go back to all the time in my thoughts to maintain something? Yeah. And I'll tell you what you have to do is pick something that's gonna be good for you, that's happening in your life tonight, tomorrow, next week, or right now, some fact about your life that makes you happy. So mine would be, I'm gonna win my bet on the Dragons tonight, baby. That makes me feel good now. The game's on in 1 hour. Also, I have a choice to be monogamous, which means my woman won't sex any other man, or I will have sex with um, lots of women. Actually, that's not really making me happy right now as so much. I guess it is in a way. No, I get to have sex with my wife. That makes me feel good. She got big titties. So, you want to protect that shit. Protect that feeling. Anything that comes your way. Someone trying to throw salt in your game. You want to protect this feeling of goodness. They might be trying to shine you on. You just say, chill out, dickwad. And so, what happens if you can't get a good thought in the first place or a good feeling? Your mum. Watch my videos. Change your life. You do that. Go and exercise would be the first thing to do if you're a big fat motherfucker. Get something real heavy and lift it above your head like the guy did in the movie Misery when she fucking broke his ankles with a mallet thing and he had to lift the typewriter. Um, yeah. Um, I'm totally addicted to bass. So you might Yeah, I don't know. So I could talk about what my theory was like. What is the best way to behave in your life? Is the question. And then the theory is the answer. And so we look at the ethics theories for some reason. Um, yeah, we do. So there's ethics theories like friggin' um, bloody utilitarianism. Nobody would want to be a utilitarian over an egoist. If you could choose what was going to be the correct theory, just by some miracle of logic, you could choose the correct theory. You wouldn't choose utilitarianism because you could be one of the ones who missed out, I call it. Utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people, which doesn't mean you're going to be happy. Yeah, so when I went through this, I was like, um, you can either, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say utilitarianism is the best for society. Wait, no, you can be living in a utilitarian society and that makes you a utilitarian, or you can be living not in a utilitarian society but claim that utilitarianism is the best and that would make you a utilitarian. Or, wait, those are the only ones, I think. Yeah. Um, so there's a lot to think about, like what do you, I mean, maybe what I just said is actually more important than, because it's like I can individually act to be a utilitarian in my life with the little things that I'm concerned with, little compared to, say, the country of Australia with 30 million people being a utilitarian society. I can just do things in my life to increase the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Like you want to, I use the example of like backyard cricket. Um, Little kids playing backyard sports, and you want to maybe the the guy, somebody's some young girl's brother is like, let the other people play with us, and everyone's like, nah, I don't want him to play. And then he's like, but I'm in charge, so I say they can play as well. Because he wants to increase the good for the greatest number. Um, so he can be that way in his life. Or there's a different type of utilitarian, someone who just writes books like John Stuart Mill and says our society should be utilitarian as a whole, which I guess would be an act of utilitarianism. Anyway, I'm just telling you about random thoughts that came into my head. What's the real shit is like, um, you have your own desires and they might conflict with utilitarianism. Like, I don't want to have sex with fat old women, but if I wanted to increase the greatest good for the greatest number, I would have sex with all the fat women, old women. Um, so you can see that if we were to say that utilitarianism is the most practical, which it probably would be, right? Well, in a lot of people's minds, yeah. In most philosophers' minds, who are normal people, they'd say, yeah, that you're on the right track to be looking at the best ethics theory, because what else are you going to do? The greatest good for the greatest number. You're not going to like say pick a group of people. Yeah, so it has to do with mood. That's quite clear. Sam Harris pointed that out, that he emphasizes that quite heavily, that because some people don't really know what we're talking about, and I can understand that because I've been talking for a while now and I haven't really uh, established what we're actually talking about. What we're talking about is actually I did. I said we're talking about the behavior of a person, but so what but I didn't lay any fundamentals as to how I would start by looking at how you would decide how someone should behave. But that would be to do with mood. My mood, maybe? Other people's moods? Yes, it has to be that way. So that's what ethics is about. It's about people's moods. So we're going to take that as an axiom, say. You might have not established that, and you probably would agree with it if you heard it. But if you haven't established it, then you might just be lost in Fugazi. It's a fake. um, I'm gonna get a glass of milk. I'll be back. Yeah, so Immanuel Kant, the philosopher from Germany in the 18th century, pointed out that, well, he emphasized this distinction between what one should do and what one wants to do. Let's look that up. Yeah, so I went through what is right and wrong, the question, in a lot of depth. And what I did was, I guess, going back to first principles, which is going back to the very, very fundamental beginnings, which would be, how does a child grow up to learn what the word right actually means? And so it's usually going to be a mother telling the kid, don't pull your sister's hair and stuff. So it's usually going to be no unnecessary pain. But the thing is, a mother doesn't sit a child down and say, well, FGM is going on in Somalia, female genital mutilation, and the Somalis are very Islamic, and so we shouldn't tell them that what they're doing is wrong because everybody's religion deserves to be respected. Um, and so therefore, uh, moral relativism should be what you should promote. Relativism being that the Somalis are right to follow their religion, and also Australians are right to not chop clits off. So it's relative to your group. Uh, and they go on about how groups can be, doesn't have to be the citizens of a country. It could be just your backyard cricket group, or your state, you got your city, your state, your country. Got milk? Please hit the subscribe button. Um, so yeah, um, so your mother doesn't sit a child down and go through these complex scenarios, and that's why some people, I mean, that's why women get together and discuss things. So what I'm going to do, because I think women's discussions and gossip is It made my penis small, so I've got a vendetta against it. So I'm going to put all this to bed, put all the women to bed, um, and um, so that nobody will ever be able to discuss what's right and wrong ever again. But that's the best way. They can discuss other things, like one could talk, say, I'll lick Robert's nipple while the other one licks my ass. That's a good discussion to have. Is it right or wrong? It's definitely right to do that. I am in charge of what's right and wrong, and I say that's the right way. But anyway, what were we talking about? The um yeah, so we you could ask what is the definition of right? However, it's not so simple. It's actually incredibly complex, maybe, or maybe when I explain it, it's much clearer. Um, you could talk about the set of things that are right and say that that's if the thing comes into the set of things that are right, then that thing is defined as right. But how do you get the set of things in the first place if you haven't already defined it? Um, and so let's have fun with it. We've got 4 hours. I think that, and I had another point. It's like you can't define something by giving a few examples of it. I think I'm trying to get at that point. So your mum goes, "Don't pull your sister's hair," right? Or she says, "That's the wrong thing to do. It's not right to pull your sister's hair." So you've got an example of what's not right, but you can't define something in that way. So because I forgot exactly why, was maybe it's just a simple matter of, well, let's look at it. Okay, so no unnecessary pain. Okay, is it, what if there's one, you have to choose between two different people experiencing, or one of them is going to experience unnecessary pain, and if like that makes the other guy get really happy or some shit. I forgot. Or you could keep them both neutral. Yeah. Um, so I guess if you were going to go with no unnecessary pain, then you'd go with, well, what about abortion? Yeah. It's like abortion is always a good example to use. What the answer is, by the way, don't get pregnant in the first place. Just have sex with me, and I'll make sure you take the morning after pill straight away afterwards. I've got a few containers of them in my under my table. Um, so yeah, like you might think I'm 1 month into my pregnancy. Is there gonna be pain? And so if you just went with the maxim, no unnecessary pain, you still wouldn't know what to do about your abortion. Maybe you really want to abort, but You think it might be wrong because the baby might experience vacuum head and be really upset and go, Mama, I just wanted a cigar. Um, so what were we doing? Yeah, so there's an example of something that you couldn't use the definition, no unnecessary pain, to decide whether it was right or wrong. So what if we can't use the the words no unnecessary pain to define what's right, then what do we do about it? What we do is if you look up right in the dictionary, it literally says morally right, which is recursive and the most circular thing I've ever seen in my life. I asked a police officer once, are police officers required to understand the law? And his answer was, no, there's a thing inside you that tells you what's right and wrong. And so, is that true? Probably not, eh? Otherwise, there wouldn't be FGM. There wouldn't be Chop and Clitty. Let's take a break. Yeah, so let's now divert to a different line of thinking, which would be I want for this outcome for the world's people. Um, and that's how I'm going to choose my ethical theory. Or, wait, no, another way of looking at it, you say utilitarianism is the best way. Then I ask you, is that what you want? And then I say, what if everyone else is really happy and you get fucked up? Do you want that? Because you just said utilitarianism is the best. And they go, nah, I don't want that. And then I say, do you want an ethical theory? Is that, can you want it? If you don't want it, why would you say it's the best? And then they break down and the argument breaks down, and that's the solution to ethics. Because they can't both want it by saying it's the best and not want it because it means they have to get tortured. My friend said maybe they can, but you can't. How can you not? Well, you're going to say that your torture is the best. Never, you would say that. It comes down to the definition of the best thing. Yeah, and then we went through an exhaustive list of what the best things could, what best could mean, and it turns out that I'm right, and that is the solution. So you want to be happy for yourself. Turns out that's a good thing because helping other people is going to make you happy. Trust me on this one.